you look back at the history of AMS Neve, our analog and digital consoles and outboard products have helped define the industry. With over 40 years of experience, thousands of satisfied customers, industry awards such as an Emmy, a Grammy and 2 Oscars, and a mastery of both analog and digital audio technology that defines the boundaries of excellence, no other company comes close to providing artists, engineers, producers and directors with the tools they need to express their creative imagination. The Neve sound is legendary, and our digital consoles lead the way when it comes to mixing award-winning sound for the movies. When it came to designing Genesys, we wanted to make it possible for smaller studios to own a Neve console which featured the classic Neve sound, but also included digital reset, connectivity and door control features taken from our digital Gemini range. The basic 16 fader system is less than $50,000, which is an amazing achievement if you consider what you get for your money.
I've been involved in designing analog consoles like the VR series and the incredible 88R series, along with many Neve outboard modules and units. But the Genesys was the biggest challenge as we wanted to combine high quality analog and digital together in one console. I'm really proud of Genesys. It sounds like a Neve, but it is instantly resettable, including the EQ and the dynamics. It has a small footprint, but we've built a ton of expandable features in, so you can scale it right out to 64 faders.
The base configuration includes 16 channels of Neve 88RS mic line amps, 32 channels of DAW monitoring, 8 aux sends, 4 mono and 2 stereo, 8 group outputs and 2 main outputs, 4 stereo effects returns, 16 channel 8 track and 2 track metering, 2 stereo and 2 5.1 monitor outputs, 2 Q mixers for headphones and studio loudspeakers, full talkback capability, hands-on DAW control for Pro Tools, Logic Pro, Cubase and other DAWs. For studios that have a lot of outboard EQ and dynamics, this is a great starting point with all the basics you need for the ultimate analog record and mixing session, plus a monitoring system which is essential for working with any DAW. Many clients take Genesys to the next level by adding options. Probably the most popular additions are the Neve EQ and dynamics that can be added in groups of 8 at a time. The EQ is a genuine Neve 1084 analog EQ which sounds incredible and is digitally controlled. The dynamics are digitally controlled VCA dynamics as used on the Neve 88RS channel strip. All settings can be instantly recalled. They are controlled from the center section with on-screen intuitive displays. You can add 8 faders at a time up to a massive 64 channels, each with 2 inputs. This console has the basic 16 faders with 32 inputs. Adding transformers to the mic preamps gets you that classic unique Neve sound with a punch you won't find anywhere else, and we can make the mic preamps digitally controlled for instant resettability. Full recall allows every one of the analog controls such as aux send levels and pans to be reset. The same Encore automation system as used on our large format analog and digital consoles includes motorized channel faders that also provide extended DAW control. Adding the Firewire cards gives you Neve 192K A to D and D to A capability for direct digital transfers to and from Pro Tools. All the options we've just discussed can very easily be added to your console, so as your studio grows, your Genesys can grow with it.
I've been playing with Wishbone Ash for the last 4.5 years. And although we spend a lot of time on the road, there's still between tours, where I'm at home in the studio recording drums. And really joining Wishbone Ash was the motivation to get a proper console in the studio. So rather than spending a lot of money in somebody else's studio and being pushed for time, we could hang out here and spend our time working on the material. And we know we're going to get a professional product. Well, I went for the Genesys because it's got the Neve sound, it's got the Neve mic pre's and Neve EQs and Neve dynamics and the Neve summing bus on top of all of that. I'm a drummer and a lot of what I do is taking clients' Pro Tools or Logic or Cubase files and then I record the drums and send them back. And I need to make sure that the sound that I get down is the absolute best it can be, and Genesys really delivers in this respect. I also have the dynamics and EQ modules fitted to this console, so I've got 16 channels of dynamics and 16 channels of EQ. And the EQ I love, it's based on the Neve 1084, which sounds great on drums. And in the Genesys, it's analog EQ, but it's digitally controlled, so I can store and recall settings. Every channel on the console can also be fed to Neve A to D converters, and I can send that directly out to Pro Tools via Firewire. When I'm recording with the Genesys, I can receive DAW returns and use it like a classic inline analog console. And on top of that, it's got full monitoring, which is fantastic. Genesys can feed zero latency sources into your headphone monitoring using the Q-Sense, so you have the perfect tracking environment. The most important thing is that I send the best quality drum tracks to the DAW that I can, and that's what the Genesys is all about. We actually recorded most of the last Wishbone Ash album here, and 16 channels for that was a bit limited if we wanted to track some of the songs live, so we got some Neve 4081s and used the AES inputs on the desk so that we could have 24 channels to record straight into Pro Tools, and that was really handy. Mixing with the Genesys is a real pleasure. I've got 16 channels of real Neve EQ and dynamics, and I can use the Neve summing bus, and they give the sound a warmth and punch that you just can't get with digital plugins. The Firewire connectivity is really cool for a couple of reasons. As well as allowing me to track the drums really easily, it lets me use these 16 channels of EQ and dynamics as analog insert points in Pro Tools. And on top of that, each channel has dual insert points, so I can add more analog effects to the outboard side of it if I want. When it comes to mixing, I have two options. I can use it as a DAW control service and control the faders, pans, aux sends in Pro Tools with the faders on the console. Or I can use it as an analog console with automation. I've got the Encore automation system, so I can record the mix pass on the console and play it back that way. When it comes to mixing the drums, sometimes I like to do it and use the console, so I can use the processing of the Genesys, and I'll mix the drums down to a stereo track in Pro Tools. Or if I am using a lot of plugins in Pro Tools and I want to mix in the box, I much prefer having physical faders that I can move and use the gain pots to work the pans. I much prefer to do that rather than clicking a mouse and shifting faders around in Pro Tools. So having a physical surface to work with where I can sit in the sweet spot and mix from there is a really nice feature to have. All the switches, mic levels, faders, EQ and dynamics are instantly recallable, making it really easy to move quickly between sessions. I can set up my favourite drum channel settings, for example, save those, and then I can have a setup for recording vocals or guitars. The fact that I can quickly switch between them makes it really convenient to use it. I think the combination of the analog processing and the digital recall makes this just the best console for a small studio setup like this.
As you can see, Genesys is a unique, affordable console for any studio environment, with the Neve sound and powerful digital control capabilities. And you can build a system to exactly match your needs because of the extensive options available. It's a hybrid approach: analog signal paths, mic preamps, EQ, dynamics and mix bus, and digital control and connectivity to the top DAWs. It doesn't get much better than this.